In August 1993, 6 tourists died in the Hamar Daban mountains. An experienced group leader, 41 years old master of sports in tourism Lyudmila Korovina, together with 3 young men and 2 girls, Timur Bapanov, Alexander Krysin, Denis Shvachkin, Victoria Zalesova and Tatiana Filipenko. Only the 7th participant of the expedition survived, 17 years old Valentina Utachenko. This tragedy puzzled both rescuers and relatives of the victims. How could young, strong people die in summer at a relatively small mountain height? The Hamar Daban mountain range is a magnificent and beautiful place, but it is not stunning with its height. Its highest point is 2,370 meters. There are many tourists in summer and winter, and in the days when Korovina's group went there for their death, 3 more groups were passing nearby. In one of these groups was the 16-year-old daughter of Korovina, Natalia. Mother and daughter planned to meet at the end of the route. They waited for almost 2 days, but since the Korovina group didn't arrive, the other group went further. Meteorologists promised weather suitable for climbing, and the group went to the mountains. However, the weather forecast was wrong. For several days in a row there was rain with snow and the wind was blowing. Despite that, the group continued their journey. The truth is, they planned this expedition for about 6 months, and they thought through the entire route and outlined every hour of the trip, but it seems that this wasn't enough. After traveling about 70 kilometers in several days, the group stopped to rest and pitched up tents. Moreover, tents were installed on the bare part of the mountain. It is still unclear why they didn't set up a camp below, where trees grew and there was much less wind. The tourists eventually began to freeze in tents placed on the slope. Korovina ordered to pack up and start descending. Soon all of them except Valentina Utachenko died. Valentina was found 4 days after death of her friends. She was asked to write a report of what's happened there, and here is what she wrote.
August 5th, 10 a.m. Krysin came, said they were wet and freezing. We picked up backpacks and began to descend. 10 meters passed, Krysin began to fall. We tried to raise him. He fell again. Korovina stayed with him. She gave the command to others to go down, but almost immediately stopped the group and asked someone to return to her. Tanya took out the tent, and the rest covered themselves with it. I went up to Korovina. Sasha's eyes were huge. A blank, incurious stare. Korovina checked the pulse and said that the heart was not beating. Asked me to drag Vika down. I went up to her, and she bit me. I dragged her to the others. Tatyana began to hit her head against the rocks. Denis hid behind rocks and climbed into the sleeping bag. I crawled up to Korovina, and she was not breathing. When I realized that no one was moving, I began to go down to reach the trees. I dressed and laid into the sleeping bag, took refuge in a tent. In the morning I rose up, saw Tanya on stones, Denis, Timur, Vika. Above, Sasha and Korovina. None of them has risen again.
So Valentina spent the night in the woods, and in the morning she climbed up the mountain and saw a terrible picture. She took a map of the route, collected food and went to look for help. She walked for 4 days, and eventually she was rescued by a group of tourists. Soon Valentina moved out from her town to forget about everything and to start her new life. She didn't talk to anyone about this tragedy, and even her husband didn't know about it. Only 25 years later, in 2018, one of the journalists managed to find her. Valentina didn't want to speak with journalists and was angry and upset at the beginning, but eventually she gave an interview, and in 2019 she appeared on TV show to provide more information about what's happened. Here is a part of her interview with journalists.
How many times a day did you eat?
4 times a day for sure. Hot food was a must. We had cereals, milk powder, crackers, stew, carrots, beets, onions, sweets, chocolates. I think the calculation was based on 2,400 kilocalories per person per day.
How did you survive?
Denis Shvichkin saved me. He kicked me and said, "Crawl down." I went down. And he didn't make it. I climbed into the sleeping bag and fell asleep. Or not sleep, but oblivion. I don't know. Woke up in the morning. Went up.
You was hoping someone was alive?
No. I saw they all died. I went up to get a map and a compass. I closed everyone's eyes. And I don't know how I managed to arrive at the Snezhnaya River. I remember seeing the poles of power lines and walking along them. Apparently, I wasn't completely insane by that time. And it was like someone was leading me all this time.
Who?
Guardian angel. I survived with God's help.
And for how long did you walk?
They died on August 5th, and on the 9th I was picked up by some people. So, about 4 days. I remember standing on the riverside, and saw catamarans coming.
Why do you think they died?
It seems to me that it was pulmonary edema. The symptoms are similar: foam, blood from the mouth, madness.
Valentina, why do you think you survived?
I grew up in the village. Always on the farm. We did the most difficult work there since we were young. Cattle grazing, going to the forest to pick up wood. From the 4th grade, I was engaged in cross-country skiing. I have always been resilient, not afraid of difficulties and physical activity. Probably that's why.
The show Valentina Utachenko appeared on in 2019 didn't give clear answers to what has happened. When people asked her, she answered that they might have died from cold, but she is not sure why. Some people tried to apply verbal pressure on her, saying, "Please, tell us the truth." Valentina was almost crying and answering, "What do you want me to say? I don't know." She did try to clear the name of the group leader, Lyudmila Korovina, as many blamed Lyudmila for the death of the group. People were saying that she liked to put her pupils to test, give them challenges and make them survive in extreme conditions. But Valentina said that Lyudmila is an amazing person and a great leader with a solid experience, and she is not guilty of the death of a group. In 1993, during an autopsy, forensic pathologists established that all tourists died from hypothermia. During the autopsy, signs of general cooling of the body were found. Nutrients were missing in muscles, and this provided a reason to establish a diagnosis: hypothermia. In addition, experts identified pulmonary edema and changes in the heart, liver, and lungs, which is common to proteinosis. This indirectly showed that they could have starved. This causes a lot of questions. Where did proteinosis came from, if, according to Valentina, the whole group ate well on a trip? Could hypothermia cause the madness which Valentina described in her report? People were panicking, hitting head against the rocks, biting and hiding. Why 6 of them died almost at the same time? According to rescue workers who went to look for and recover the bodies, some of the warm clothes and sleeping bags were carefully packed and they were completely dry. Hear what they have also said. The picture upon arrival at the scene of the tragedy appeared depressing. Mummified bodies, they were found 20 days after their death. Grimaces of horror on their faces. Almost all the dead were dressed in thin tights, while 3 were barefoot. The leader laid on top of Sasha. So why Korovina and her group didn't use the clothes and sleeping bag to get warm? These tourists weren't amateurs, they had hiking experience and they were well prepared for this trip. Why Lyudmila survived when 6 others died? Was she just the strongest one, both mentally and physically? She even had to walk another 4 days. Next theory, they died from poisonous gas or steam, which they all inhaled. This could have been something from natural occurrence or artificial source. The artificial source theory suggests that somewhere nearby the military was conducting some weapon testing, and the tourists might have died from gas, radiation or infrasound. Valentina mentioned that the group was surrounded by some sort of sticking fog at some point. In that case, again, it is interesting why only Valentina has survived. Another theory, the group died from food poisoning. This version mainly revolves around food that tourists could have found in the mountains, such as berries, plants, and herbs. According to facts, the tourists were collecting a plant named golden root or Rhodiola rosea, which is used in traditional medicine and, according to some sources, also used to increase physical endurance and resistance. It is unlikely that golden root could cause poisoning, but instead it might have been a reason why only Valentina survived, as she was nibbling this root regularly throughout the days. The following theory actually comes out from the golden root collection. According to rescue team, they found 2 big bags of golden root in Lyudmila Korovina's backpack. People speculated that the group was gathering golden root in big amounts to sell it later, and Khamar Daban punished the group for that, as people should take from the nature only the amount needed for the day. According to shaman Sergei Damdinov, Khamar Daban is a sacred place from ancient times, and the reason for the tragedy is that people violated the harmony of nature and the borders between invisible worlds. People began to consider themselves masters of nature, but this is not correct, said shaman Sergei Damdinov. The TV show dedicated to this incident only caused more disputes and speculations. One interesting detail we found out from the show is that Natalia Korovina, daughter of Lyudmila Korovina, was paid to keep quiet and don't speak about the tragedy. It was hard to say from Valentina's expression on the TV show whether she is hiding something or she really doesn't know what's happened there. She just said that she got lucky and she survived with God's help. Valentina did repeat that it looked like the guys went mad and insane, started hitting heads against the rocks, and started undressing before their deaths. Both Valentina and Denise remained sane and tried to drag the rest of the guys down the hill, but they resisted, were fighting and running away. While climbing down the rocks, Denise lost all of his strength and started to fall down, but he kept on pushing Valentina and shouting at her so that she would continue descending. Valentina believes that she might have died with the rest of the group if Denise wouldn't shout and command her to descend. We will probably never know what really happened on Khamar Daban, as there are quite a few unanswered questions, inaccuracies and ambiguity in this whole story. What caused the death of a group of tourists? This remains a mystery.